Hey everyone, so today we're going to start making a Flutter and Supabase application. So Supabase is this cool new open source Firebase alternative. They have sort of everything hosted on their website, so you can spin up a project that has the database, authentication, and storage pieces all working right now. They're still sort of in beta because the functions are still not out, and there's still a lot of dev work being done. The Git community is pretty active for this project as well, so there's going to be quite a bit of changes coming in. I'm super excited to see where this ends up. So this is actually my first time also using Supabase. I do have a little bit of experience with Flutter, but Supabase it's my first time, so there will be a little bit of learning for both of us. Um, so the first thing you'll want to do is go to supabase.io, create your account with your website, and then it'll prompt you to create your organization. So I just put whatever org. It's just an input field with a name. And after that, you can create your new project. So I'm just going to make whatever project name here, and then the database password is probably important if you plan to keep this project around and use it for something important, because I'm guessing this is probably going to be your admin password for your database as well. So this password thing is actually kind of hard from when I was messing around with it earlier today. So you may want to kind of write it down and make sure it's complex, but still something you can remember. For the region, you can pick whatever you think would fit best to your audience or wherever you're at. I'm just going to leave with the default East US. And you can hit next. It will take a few minutes to spin up your database and your API and all that backend stuff for you. So, actually, while all this database and backend stuff is building, we can go ahead and get started creating our Flutter project. This is not a Flutter introduction tutorial, so I won't be explaining all of the details about Flutter and kind of like the basics. I'm no expert or pro by any means, so if you see something wrong or that I'm doing something completely wrong, please bring it up in the comments and let me know. I'm also not going for best practices here or anything. This is just solely for fun and for exploring Supabase. I think the goal will be to create an application kind of driven by what you guys say in the comments. I don't really care if it ends up being a Frankenstein app with like just no theme going on whatsoever. I'm fine with using it sort of as our playground, if you will, for Supabase and Flutter. Whatever you guys want to take this direction to, I'm okay with. If not, I'll just kind of keep throwing ideas and kind of keep making videos and seeing where this ends up at. I will put this in an open public repository in GitHub as well. So see the description down below for the link. You're welcome to create a fork of it or just a branch, whatever you guys want. I will probably create a new branch after every video, so that kind of can mark our little checkpoints. So that way, if you're watching the videos along, you can always kind of jump into that branch or wherever the video is at. If you want to skip certain things that are maybe just too easy or you're not interested, you can always just switch between branches. It looks like our API and database is finished building here, so let's go ahead and create our Flutter project. We'll just call it whatever app. Well, we'll call it cool app so we don't get confused with our whatever stuff over here in Supabase. So we'll cd into that cool app directory, and we'll open an instance of VS Code into that directory. So we can go ahead and jump into our main.dart and just clear out all this fluff. All right. And I typically just create a pages folder to begin with. This is kind of all like just getting the project folder structure laid out. Pretty basic. Don't go too crazy. So for the first page, we can create a home page. And this will be a stateful widget. And we'll go ahead and import Flutter widgets. And we'll return a scaffold here. And for our body, we'll just return a column. And that should be good for now. Now we'll want to go ahead and change the reference to the widget we created. It does not take any parameters. And we can go ahead and delete all these comments. And I think we should be good. So now we can jump back to Supabase. And again, I'm also extremely new with Supabase here. So I think we'll just create a table here. I saw some of the examples earlier going off of a table called movies. So we'll just kind of follow that as well to keep things simple and follow their documentation, be able to copy and paste code much easier. I'll show you guys here in a bit, but a lot of their snippets are in JavaScript, so they're not 100% copy and paste into Dart, but the syntax is extremely similar. We'll add a name column, and it will be a varchar type. And I suppose we can make this not empty, although it doesn't matter because we're going to delete this table later. It's just kind of going to be to get our integration working and making sure that, you know, we can, oh, I hit add a row on accident. But this is just going to be to make sure that we can pull and save data. Okay, we'll go ahead and save our table with a name and description columns of varchar. And then we can go ahead and jump into the settings tab here. We go into API, and this URL and this API key are what you'll need to set up your package. So we can go ahead and jump to pub.deb packages/Supabase, and we can go into the installing tab here. Copy that dependency and go back to our project. In our pubspec.yaml, we can go ahead and add the Supabase dependency. And when you hit save, assuming you got your extension set up correctly, it'll run flutter pub get, and we should have this dependency now installed. We can go ahead and switch to the example tab, and we can copy this snippet right here. Again, the Supabase URL and the Supabase key are what we're gonna copy from our Supabase API configs here. I think, again, not 100% sure, but we'll find out here pretty quickly. We can go ahead and probably not something we'll keep forever and not ideal at all, but we'll just set it up here kind of at a high level. We'll create this global final client variable. We'll call it Supabase client, just in case you have some other client variable somewhere else, it doesn't confuse us. We'll copy the URL, and we'll copy this API key, paste it right into there. And this should probably be enough to get us going for the saving and reading data. Maybe for the authentication we may need to do more setup later, but I'm not sure. We'll find out when we get to that, probably in the next video is where we'll do that authentication, so we won't worry about it too much for now. Let's go ahead and try to see if we can fetch some data. So let's insert a row here in our table. Well, let's just do two. Call it gladiator, and let's Google gladiator movie, and we'll go ahead and just copy that description. And we'll hit save. Awesome movie, by the way. You guys should check it out if you haven't watched it. It's one of my favorites growing up. And I think that's probably good enough. We can add another just basic test, and then test description. Just, to fully be 100% sure things are flowing correctly. We'll use a future builder here. We can go ahead and right-click column and do a refactor. We can wrap it with stream builder. Since we're not doing the real time, we'll just switch this to future builder, and we'll switch this to future, and we'll create a get movies function, and that will return likely a list of movies. So that'll be of type movie, and this type doesn't exist yet, so we'll create a class called movie. We can go ahead and create a models folder, and we'll create a movie.dart. And let's take this over here. Okay. And our movie is going to have a name and a description. And we'll probably just go ahead and create the constructor that takes in the name and description. And there's a lot of cool libraries that you can use for serializing and deserializing maps or JSON data, or whatever other type of data formats into your class variables, but we're not going to go into that for this, at least for this video. We may later if somebody wants us to explore that, but for now we'll just manually map that out. Pretty common with JSON, the type will be a map of string, and you can go with dynamic for the value type. And then we can just go ahead and return a new instance of movie from that map. Map movie. I'm not 100% sure how Subapase will return this map, so it could be that we may have to make some changes here once we get it hooked up, but I'm assuming this should work. So we can go ahead and jump back here. We'll just need to import that class we created. And now we are pretty much set to pull that data in. So we can go ahead and copy this snippet right here. Just copy that whole snippet. We'll make this async. So now we'll return a future of a list with a list of type of movies. So that means our snapshot here from the future builder is actually an async snapshot of type list with movies. We can change that object to movie. Now all we have to do is make sure we return the right data type. So we'll create another variable. We'll call it data list. This will be response.data. Oh, okay, sorry. Our client here still doesn't exist. So remember, we named it in main.dart. We named it Supabase client, so we can go ahead and replace that with Supabase client and auto import that in there. Okay, so our response will be, let's see, I'm not super familiar with this library, like I said, so I think it'll have, yeah, so it does have that data variable. And we'll just cast it to a list, and then we can just return a map of this list straight into that movie type. So we're going to return data list.map. And we'll return a new movie for each item in the list. And I am missing the from JSON right there. So now we have this method here that returns a list of movies. Oh, have to replace that still. And if you guys have any questions, I ran into this earlier about the syntax of the tables, but it Supabase creates this under API here. It creates this sort of auto-generated, pretty basic set of documentation for your tables that you create. So that's pretty neat. This is kind of old boilerplate code you can copy. Like I said, it's all in JavaScript, but it'll be pretty straightforward to change it into Dart. So for example, for insert here, we can probably just copy this snippet later on and then just change it to Dart syntax. Okay, and now just to get back to this, it looks like I need to change this to list movie type. That was my bad. And now that we have a snapshot here with our movies, we can go ahead and map that into, I don't know, maybe let's do a list view. And we can just do list house here. So we'll map snapshot data, where data here is our list of movies. And then we're going to change E to be a movie. And we'll return a list item for each movie, or list file. So we can do, oh, my autocorrect is just screwing me up right now. Title. And we can just do movie.name. And for the subtitle, we can do the description. So we'll do movie.description. And let's not forget to cast this to a list, which I always almost do. And I think we are good to give this a go. I think right now I'm just running the web, the Chrome emulator here. For the next video, I'll do Android or iOS. More likely Android, just because I'm on my Windows right now. But as soon as this Chrome debugger starts up, what's going to happen is we're going to hit our main function here. And it's going to create this homepage widget. And it should go ahead and run through this code. And it looks like we have an issue. Let's see if we can identify it quickly. So in homepage.dart, we have a null on map. So let's go back to our table. It looks like our name and description is all good. We have a name. We have a description. Sometimes the spelling can break these, so let's just make sure. Oh, see, there we go. So here it should have been name. And these little mistakes are what get you. So this is where a serialization and deserialization type of library that automates these methods for you would come in pretty handy. But if we go back to our emulator, you guys can see that on the reload, it pulled in the movies. We'll do another reload here just to show it. It looks like we probably got a null somewhere, probably because of the snapshot. We can go ahead and clear that up just so you don't get it on your screen. But basically, if the snapshot has no data, we can just return a circular loading progress bar. There we go. Circular progress indicator. That's a mouthful, but there we go. So no more error. But this is a pretty basic way to get started. I think that's probably all we'll cover in this video today. If you guys have any questions in terms of what you want me to dive into next, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll probably end up doing authentication or possibly diving into the real-time aspect, which is what we all love about Firebase. I remember the first time I saw the Firebase Firestore in action. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. You know, within 20 minutes of developing an app, you could pretty much create a really basic chat application, which we could also explore if that's something you guys want to do. But right now, we're just doing the basic API, pulling data. The insert would be pretty much just as easy. Again, you guys can always check out this API and this auto-generated documentation, but for the insert, so it'd basically be this, except instead of the select, we do an insert and then just pass in the object. I think we can explore that once we do the real time. And so just let me know in the comments what you guys want to do after I just kind of show the basics of Supabase and Flutter and show you guys kind of in action what we can do. I think this will be pretty cool application. We can start doing maybe like a profile for a user and then kind of move on to wherever you guys want to go. Whether it can be exploring certain design patterns, setting how to set up your project in a multi-environment way, dependency injection. I mean, any package you guys want me to try out. The key thing will be that we'll kind of want to stick with Supabase because I know there's a ton of Firebase and Flutter videos, but I really want to keep this focused with Supabase because I think it's a really cool technology and I love that it's open source. And I think if you guys want to support them, definitely you guys should go check them out on GitHub and contribute or help in any other way you can because I think they're doing some really cool stuff. Whenever the functions comes out, I think that's when it'll be a lot more identical to the feature set in Firebase, and really you'll be able to do, all the core functionality that you can do in Firebase, you'll be able to do with Supabase. So thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below where you guys want to take this next.